everyone, and welcome back to the Calvin Tobin Show. I am your host, Calvin Tobin. Today we have a lot to talk about, so let's get right into it. Oh, right. The final week of the trade deadline in the NHL is just a day away, and it ends tomorrow at 3 p.m. And throughout the final week of the trade deadline, the momentum just keeps getting more and more and more intense based on what we have seen transpire. And over the last week, we have seen many guys go to new teams that we did not see coming at all. And these are the guys, and these are some of the biggest guys that got traded away from their main team. And who these players are is, over the last week, we saw Timo Meier get traded to the New Jersey Devils. Then we saw Patrick Kane get traded to the New York Rangers. And then after that, we saw Ryan O'Reilly get traded to the Toronto Maple Leafs. And then we just saw Jonathan Quick have one of the weirdest trade exchanges that you'll probably see. Is he originally got traded to Columbus, but he didn't even get a chance to even get to the city before he got traded again. And this time he got traded to go play for the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Now, with what has happened over the last couple of days, we have seen some big contracts get signed, and the teams that gave out the contracts were the Detroit Red Wings and the Boston Bruins. The Detroit Red Wings signed their main man Dylan Larkin to an 8-year, $69.6 million contract, and that averages out to $8.7 million per year, and that contract was signed yesterday. Earlier today, we saw David Pastrnak sign one of the biggest contracts in NHL history. He signed an 8-year, $90 million contract, and it averages out to $11.25 million per year. Now, with both of these contracts, and with Boston and Detroit keeping some of their best guys, which team is going to benefit more from keeping their guy with them, staying for them over the next 8 years? And the answer to that is the Boston Bruins, because David Pastrnak is a much better player than Dylan Larkin. Now, Dylan Larkin is a great player, and he's averaging 65 points per season for the Detroit Red Wings, but there is only so much he can do with the supporting cast that he has. And right now, they are a bottom 10 team in the league in scoring, and they're at 28 wins right now, and they are in second to last place in the Atlantic Division. And over the last 6 years, the Detroit Red Wings are just on a complete struggle to win. They might do it this year, but they have yet to get over 30. They struggle to get to 30 wins, because over that 6-year span, they are averaging 27 wins per year. So Dylan Larkin is in a bit of a ruckus, and the only way that Detroit is going to get better is by having luck in the trade and signing process, or you will find a diamond in the rough or a diamond in the NHL draft. Now, as for David Pastrnak, he is just under a decade in his career, and he just got 80 points on the season, which is the 4th time in his career that he has done it. And he is also the 4th player this year to reach the 80-point mark. David Pastrnak with the Boston Bruins, he has been great for his entire career, and a main reason is because, one, of his talent, and two, his talent has been able to be top notch, because he's been a part of one of the best trios in the league today, which is himself, Brad Marchand, and Patrice Bergeron, and or Charlie McAvoy. And with David Pastrnak, this dude has been a beast his entire career. And the good thing about the Boston Bruins is that Pasternak is still in his prime, and he's got at most 8 to 9 years before we start to see his talent diminish, and we see like 80, 90-point seasons on a consistent basis start to slowly fall back, and he's just not that same player anymore when that time comes. Also, David Pastrnak has been so great with the Boston Bruins. He's only missed the playoff twice with them, and that was in his first 2 seasons. And the best part about Pasternak's talent is that he's been able to bring the Bruins to 3 50-win seasons over the last 5 to 7 years. And one of those 3 seasons is this year, and it could be his first 60-win season, but it's getting close because the Boston Bruins are 47-8-5, and they got 22 games left, and they got to win 13 out of those 22 games to be able to hit 60. I think they can do it because Boston is historically good right now. And the thing is that even with Pastrnak, what he's doing right now, he's actually significantly ahead of second place on his team with points. He has 80 points right now, and second place is Brad Marchand. Yeah, given that he is in year 15, but he has 53 points. It's a huge difference, and that just goes to show how great Pastrnak is. And over the next 8 years, the Boston Bruins are in great hands because of how talented this team is, having David Pastrnak being one of those leaders. And the only thing that I'm going to be surprised at is they do not win a Stanley Cup within the next decade, and to a point, especially this year, because they are historically good. Now, with history, it's been an interesting thing in college basketball this year because no one is safe. Not one person is safe to win, no matter if you're top dog or bottom dog. No one is safe from winning a game. And any team this year that has been ranked 1 or 2 knows that better than anyone because they lost a record 13 times this year, and it's always been chaos. There's been upsets practically almost every single day, and there's been at minimum 2 to 3 upsets per week ever since the season started, and it's so much madness that's going on, and we just entered March, and this is where usually the real madness starts, but we've had a madness year. And that's just how crazy college basketball has been. But over the last week, we've actually have determined some conference champions who just claimed their title. And if you're a college football fan, you are used to seeing this name, and it's the Alabama Crimson Tide, and they are the SEC champs. The Kansas Jayhawks are the Big 12 champs. The Purdue Boilermakers are the Big 10 champs, and the UCLA Bruins are the Pac-12 champions, and those are the champions so far. We still need a couple more to go before all the conference champion titles are all wrapped up to that one team, whoever gets it. Now, for anyone who is doing the bracket this year for the tournament, do not be surprised because this is going to be one of the hardest years to actually be able to pick a game right as the bracket goes along. And there is a good chance that everyone's bracket could potentially bust within the first couple of games played because it's been so wild this year. Because and since it's been the year of the upset, hell, they're good. We all could just pick upset after upset. We could pick 16 over 1, 13 over 3, and maybe that actually ends up working out for all of us. But it's going to be one of those years where everybody's bracket is most likely going to bust within the first round, and potentially no one's going to get to that second round because of how wild it has been. Now, another crazy part, because of how wild this college basketball year has been, there is actually not a definitive team that is looked at to be able to go as far as the Elite Eight. But here's the thing. If there are teams that you want to watch and think they're going to make it all the way, here are a few of my teams that I think you should watch closely as the tournament goes on. And the first team is the #1 Houston Cougars. The second one is the #3 Kansas Jayhawks. And the last one is the #11 Kansas State Wildcats. Now, with the #1 Houston Cougars, these guys have the best record in all of college basketball this year with a record of 27-2. And what has made them so significant this year on being able to stick at #1 at least towards the end of the year and have that record of 27-2 is their defense. And Marcus Sasser and Jamal Sheed have led the way for them, as they have both each averaged 1.7 steals per game all year long. With the Kansas Jayhawks, these guys, no one wants to mess with this fast break offense, because if Kansas can get on a consistent base with their fast break offense, because they have one of the, if not the best fast break offense in college basketball this year, and the reason for that is because these guys are so great, and it's because of Bill Self, and he's one of the greatest college basketball coaches of all time, getting his 17th title as a conference champion in the 20 years that he's been there. But as I was saying, with the Kansas Jayhawks, the reason that their fast break offense is so good is because of their ability to pass the ball, to be able to throw open their guys, and it happens so many times, and it makes even a lot of top tier teams bite their nails on, like, how are we going to be able to stop this, because they're so great at it. They can keep it on a consistent basis, and that will be the way on how they're going to get farther and farther in this tournament. With the #11 Kansas State Wildcats, yes, they are #11. I totally get that, but here's the thing. This team is actually a mixture of the Houston Cougars defense and the Kansas Jayhawks fast break offense. The thing is that their biggest issue is turning over the ball. They have averaged 13 turnovers per game over the entire year, and that's one of the worst, one of the bottom worst teams in the whole league, and it's out of 320 teams. But here's the thing. If they can clean that up a little bit, they will be extremely dangerous in this tournament. Now, here's the thing. Yes, they are #11, but they are actually better than #11 in what the rank says, because of what I just said. And the reason that they're #11 is because the Big 12 conference, there were 6 teams that were ranked that all played each other over the final 2 months of the year, and it was 6, 3, 9, 11, 15. It was all that, and they all beat each other. So it's hard to tell on who is really the best team, even though that Kansas won the Big 12 championship, or they're the Big 12 champions. The Big 12 is definitely the conference that you needed to watch this year, because of those final 2 months. Everybody was beating each other. Now, with Kansas State, with that fast break offense, they are good at it, but they are a little bit off with that. They're a little bit of a loose cannon when it comes to that fast break offense. If they can just slow it down and clean it up a little bit, their defense will thrive even more, and that will get them all the way to that final. And here's the thing. The guys that you want to watch for that Kansas State Wildcat team is Keontae Johnson and Marquise Noel, because these guys are the main leaders of this team. They're both averaging 17 points per game. Marquise Noel is averaging 2.3 steals a game. They have 4 guys that average a steal a game, with a couple of them nearly averaging 2. With one of them obviously averaging 2, which is what I just said. If they can clean up that offense and be able to slow down and control the ball a little bit better, but in this case a lot better, because they are the worst turnover team, or one of them, in the country, they have a great shot at getting all the way to that final and potentially win it all. All right, that's the end of the Calvin Tobin Show. Please subscribe to my channel at Calvin Tobin Show, so you don't miss out on any sports media. And please follow me on Instagram at Calvin Tobin Show, so you don't miss out on any sports news whatsoever. And I'm out.